How's it going, everybody? Want to give you guys a heads up on the PlayStation Plus extra titles that have been seemingly leaked from the month of October. This is once again coming from Biblikun over at Deal Labs. I would imagine the entire lineup is going to be revealed later today, probably a little after noon. By the time you guys are watching this video, it could already be live, but I wanted to go over the initial offerings that we have just seen. Now, this entire catalog should be live on October the 17th, so next week, but the initial lineup looking fairly decent. I wouldn't say it's a blowaway by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say it's fairly good, and hopefully the rest of the roster of the games will offer, some more stuff to like, but it does look like these are the headlining games, as it was noted in the tweet. Check out in our last report of a preview of the next batch of PS Plus Extra and Premium games, and it does have a parentheses with headliners, so sometimes headliners is a subjective term, and a game to you might be bigger than a game to me, etc., etc., but let's break down each of the offerings. First of all, we have Gotham Knights. Let's go through every game and then I'll break each of it down. Gotham Knights, The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, Disco Elysium, The Final Cut, Far Changing Tides, Gungrave Gore, Elite Dangerous, Dead Island Definitive Edition, and Alien Isolation. It will be interesting if, let's say, Dead Island Definitive Edition, if that'll be a Plus Extra game or a Plus Premium game. I don't really know what, locking away Dead Island Definitive Edition is going to do for Plus Premium subscribers, or if that'll incentivize people to sign up for Plus Premium. You never know with these things. So, overall, there's definitely some stuff to sink your teeth into. Gotham Knights is a nice little offering, even though I know the game got a very, very negative reception last year. Maybe very negative is a little bit of a stretch. I just think it was a little bit of a disappointment, and maybe a bit of a disappointment to a lot of you guys. But the thing is, I think a lot of people were misguided into going into that game thinking that it was going to be at the level of a Batman Arkham title. It was done by Warner Brothers Montreal, the same studio that brought you Batman Arkham Origins. And yeah, can you make the argument that Arkham Origins is a better game than Gotham Knights? Sure. You can make an argument that their last outing was better than Gotham Knights, but I still think Gotham Knights offers some things to like, and I think when you're going into it as just a game as a part of a subscription service, albeit a pretty expensive subscription service, let's not get it twisted these days, but I think your expectations being more in line of what this game is, it'll actually end up having you appreciate the game. That's what happens with a lot of these titles. They come out, and then they're panned on launch, and then people check it out a year or two down the line, and then the narrative doesn't completely shift on the game, but it does slant a little bit, and people are a little bit more appreciative towards the game. Now, there is one glaring factor of Gotham Knights that is absolutely egregious, and that is the fact it does have a 30 frames per second cap, which is just wild to think about. Given that Gotham Knights, yes, it does have co-op play, which adds another layer to that game, but it's not like that's a game that is going to visually blow you away. So that's a bummer as well. But overall, I would say it's a decent little game that you guys should play through, and it has some replayability with all of the different heroes and whatnot. Next up, we have the Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes. This is done by Supermassive Games, the same studio that brought you Until Dawn and games of that caliber. Very much narrative driven. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you're a fan of that horror style, it might be a game you end up enjoying. The Dark Pictures series has been going on for a little bit now. Season 1 does comprise of a bunch of games. There's Man of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, which is the third game, and then The Devil in Me. So those are all of the titles in the Supermassive series, but House of Ashes will be added in the month of October. Next up, probably the best game, but let's be real, it's not a game for everybody. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut. Now, Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a game that I constantly go to bat for because I genuinely believe it's a tremendous game. However, it's not a game that's gonna be for everybody. It has a methodical, more slower-paced storytelling style that is, it's not a lot of action-heavy gameplay or anything like that. It is slower-paced, but it's an incredibly rewarding story to go through, and it tackles some very mature themes, and it has an emphasis on decision-making, choices, everything like that. So obviously that's going to be something that a lot of you guys appreciate and will lead to the game being quite replayable. I thought the game was great. I thought the writing is some of the best that a video game has ever offered, and given that it is entirely story driven, that's kind of necessary. I also do know that there was a lot of controversy with how it was handled between the developers and the publishers of this game. It was just not a great And not a great situation, and it really did seem like people got shafted in that situation. Does that lessen the quality level of the game? I don't know. That is up to you to decide, but I still think the game is fantastic and very much a must-play game, so definitely would give that a shout. Again, if you're into story-driven titles, that's a really good one. Far Changing Tides is available as well. This is the follow-up to Far Lone Sails, and it's a game that I still have yet to check out, and I really need to, like, it's in my library, and I've been meaning to play through it for a while, because Lone Sails was a pretty cool game. It's got a great art style, but yeah, this is a nice little addition as well. I feel like you need these tertiary offerings that, yes, these games, again, a Far Changing Tides, you're not gonna see that game as a headliner, but it's still a decent offering that, you know, just because it's in a subscription service, you might be like, hey, this game looks interesting, let me check it out. Gungrave Gore, this game got panned last year. Didn't get a really solid reception. I want to say it's in the 50s or 60s on Metacritic. It's a stylish third-person action shooter by South Korean studio Mob, in which you take on the role of Grave, a gunslinger of resurrection and badass anti-hero of your dreams, mowing down tons of enemies in a gory ballet of bullets. So that will be added. That still goes for a hefty price point, so from a value standpoint, I guess it's a decent offering, but yeah, game itself wasn't received all too well. Elite Dangerous, obviously a game that's more popular on PC than anything, but, you know, nice to see a game at this level come to PlayStation Plus Extra as well. Dead Island Definitive Edition, again, not the biggest offering in the world, but it'll be interesting to see if that's Plus Extra or Premium, and then Alien Isolation, I think, is a nice cap-off to that roster of games. That's a game that goes for very cheap, to be fair, but definitely a nice cap off to the offerings in the month of October. So that's a great horror title. I know some people weren't crazy about it. I know everybody always points back to, I think it was the IGN review that gave it like a 4 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, and you know what? Maybe it's not for everybody, but I think if you're into atmospheric horror games, Alien Isolation is going to be a game that you really enjoy. And the tone and the ambiance of that game is tremendous. Now, it does get a little bit stale by the end, but I mean, that's kind of an issue with horror games in general, especially one that's not, you know, a 3 to 4 hour game. But yeah, Alien Isolation is still going to offer you some stuff to like, especially if you never checked it out before. It will be interesting to see what the rest of the catalog is. Kind of interesting as well, this is the first month in a while that there isn't a big Japanese focus into the roster of games. I think a lot of people were getting a little upset by that there was a lot of JRPG love, a lot of Japanese games, and while that's up my alley, I also do know there's a lot of you guys that aren't into that, so maybe this month's offering will be something you appreciate a little bit more. But if I was to be perfectly honest, I would say, you know, the months that had 13 Sentinels and whatnot, that's going to be a little bit more value-oriented for me. Like, 13 Sentinels, Near Replicant, on all those games getting added, yeah, like, I would probably side with that, but if you're against Japanese titles or not a big fan of them, this month might be something more up your alley. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.